Mama's knees rise where the shadows crawl. Moss hangs low like a ghostly shawl. The moon's a lantern, soft and pale, guiding my steps.
TerraMaster has built a name by making sensible, dependable NAS boxes for a while now. Thankfully, this model nudges things forward again. It takes the simple 4-bay idea and adds quick networking, a flexible SSD layer, and useful data protection without going full enterprise. It wants to be your home or small office server that gets the job done. This is the TerraMaster F4-425 Plus NAS. With this unit, you get 4 bays for 3.5 or 2.5 inch SATA drives and 3 internal M2 NVMe slots. Inside sits an Intel N150 quad-core 16GB DDR5 and 2 5GB Ethernet network ports. With link aggregation or SMB multi-channel and those fast SSDs, your throughput lands around the 1GB per second mark in all the right conditions. TOS 6 brings BTRFS and point-in-time snapshots, which is exactly what you want for everyday protection. But all of this, it doesn't come cheap. Just a quick heads up, TerraMaster is having a Black Friday promo on, so use the link in the description for up to 30% off selected NAS systems. And there are plenty of models to choose from. So is this product truly worth that asking price? Well, let's first start by unboxing it. In the box, you'll find the NAS, a 90-watt power adapter, a Cat6 cable, tray screws, labels, keys, and your quick start guides. Now, I will say the chassis feels a step up from the older silver units you normally see. The aluminium shell looks tidy, and the black fascia keeps things understated. Up front, you have 4 trays. I do believe they have other versions on their website if you want something with less bays. However, I think 4 is probably the sweet spot if you intend to use this as an all-in-one home server. Round the back is busy, but it is sensible with a 120mm fan, HDMI, those 2 5GB Ethernet ports, 3 USB-A, and 1 USB-C port. I actually think the fit and finish feels pretty solid for the money, and that aluminium helps with the noise and heat really well. This doesn't really get that hot to touch. Now, the outer shell is a single aluminium tube. To access it, you just simply remove the 4 screws on the unit and the internals simply slide out. To be fair, this will make making future upgrades pretty straightforward. The 4 front trays do use a push lock latch, so you shouldn't really experience any accidental ejects. It is a pretty solid mechanism. Now, when it comes to setup, they have made it as easy as it can be. Just plug the unit into your router or a multi-gig switch. Then we are going to browse to the local link supplied and follow the web wizard. It really depends on how you want to set this up and how you intend to use it, but overall I will say the setup process is pretty dead simple. So let's talk a little bit about the box itself, because Intel's N150 isn't some powerhouse CPU, but honestly it's absolutely fast enough for what most people use an NAS for. File sharing, Plex hardware decoding, running a couple of Docker apps, maybe a light VM or 2. It handles it all without any drama. I do think the storage has been set up very nicely, 4 SATA bays for those big drives, and 3 M2 slots inside for the SSDs. Now you can run a 3-drive M2 RAID 5 if you want a fast pull for your apps or Docker stuff. Just keep in mind these aren't full speed desktop NVMe lanes. They're good, they're not just ultra fast. Now, networking is one of the coolest bits. You do get those dual 5GB Ethernet ports, which is great at this price. Bond them together or just let SMB multi-channel do its magic. And you can get really fast transfers with the right SSDs. Even a single 5GB Ethernet link makes big file copies feel snappy, and I mean pretty snappy. It holds up really well when multiple people are using it at the same time, which is where a lot of cheaper NAS boxes struggle. On the software side of things, TOS 6 brings BTRFS snapshots, worm protection for those very important archived files, and flexible drive pools like trade. In normal terms, if someone deletes the wrong thing or ransomware knocks on your door, you got an extra safety net here, and it is nice to have. Thankfully, it automatically handles the mixed drive sizes and keeps your data protected without you having to understand the RAID jargon. To be honest, when you put all that together, you do get a setup that's much safer and way more forgiving if mistakes happen. Having this level of protection, it is just very reassuring. The iGPU is the thing that does a solid job with hardware decoding, which is great news if you are using Plex, Jellyfish or MB. What that basically means is the NAS can take certain video formats, like H.264 or H.265, and then process them using GPU instead of bogging down your CPU. So if you've got a family member watching a movie on their phone, or you're streaming something to a TV that doesn't support the video file format natively, the NAS can handle the conversion without breaking a sweat or you having to do anything yourself. I would say where this box starts to feel the strain is when you hit it with multiple 4K transcodes or super high bitrate files. It's just not simply a powerhouse GPU, so expecting it to juggle several heavy-duty transcodes at once is probably unrealistic. One light 4K transcode or a couple 1080p ones, it'll be fine. But if you've got a whole group chat watching different 4K movies at the same time, this probably isn't the one for you. For self-hosting, this thing is actually pretty great. Docker runs really cleanly on TOS 6, and with built-in support for Docker Compose and Portainer, you can spin up apps with almost no effort. It's perfect for the usual suspects: Home Assistant, a password manager like Vault Warden, a code server, media tools, or just a small database. Everything does feel snappy as long as you're a bit sensible with the workload you put on top. I would say the main thing to keep an eye on is memory. If you start loading this thing up with containers, plus a couple of apps, plus a VM, it will run out of RAM way before it runs out of CPU. So I wouldn't go wild installing 40 containers unless you're actually monitoring your usage. But overall, it is a very capable little self-hosting box. Certainly perfect for home lab or anyone who wants to run a bunch of small services along their NAS duties, without getting bogged down. In day-to-day use, it works well as a family hub, automatic phone backup, shared photo libraries, quick link sharing with passwords, that sort of thing. And I could list a lot more. For creators, the 5GB Ethernet link is a dream for 4K project transfers, while the M2 pool keeps things like caching nice and quick. If you've got a small office, snapshots plus backups give you an easy rollback button when something messes up, so there is no fancy software that's needed. I think the bottom line is, if you want a 4-bay NAS that feels quick, handles multi-users easily, mixes those storage options with SSD speeds, and doesn't sound like a jet engine in your living room, this is a really strong option.
As always, be sure to check this product out in the link in the description. Let me know what you think. Till next time.